And I'm not just doing it because comic books are cool, although they are. But Marvel Studios has gotten the message that instead of focusing on an individual or one organization, bringing multiple organizations or individuals together is powerful, and that people respond to that. Now let me show you why. Again, just bear with me for like another 3 minutes. I know some of you guys are gonna like, okay, but just bear with me, okay? How many of you guys have seen the movie Iron Man? Came out in 2008? Okay, for this half, because you're the only ones that seen it. 2008, movie Iron Man came out, made $585 million, which is a lot of money. You know, most movies make, 100, 200, 300 million if they're really big blockbusters. $585 million, mostly because although there have been superhero movies, no one has ever done Iron Man before because he's a robot, and he ends up looking like Robbie the Robot if you try to do it, but they made it look really, really cool, okay? So, first one came out, $585 million. Second one came out, $624 million, just under like 623, 700 and something thousand dollars. That's a lot of money, okay? Bear with me, I know, I'm going somewhere. We're getting to the Bible, just bear with me, right? That came out in 2010. 2011, then Marvel said, hey, let's take all these great comic book heroes who have never really been in the movies. There have been TV shows done about them, but TV doesn't have as big of a budget as a movie. So they said, let's do Thor. How many saw Thor? First one, $449 million. The second one made way more than that. How many guys saw Captain America, the first Avenger? The first one that came out only made $370 million, only because it was about his life, and the majority of his life was during World War II. When they brought him into our current time and did the second one, it more than doubled that figure when they did the second Captain America movie. I am getting to the Bible, bear with me, okay? All right, now here's what happened. Marvel said, hey, look, all these individual superheroes are making us a lot of money. What would happen if we took all of them and put them all into one movie, which from a movie perspective, you're not supposed to do, because if I'm an Iron Man fan, and let's say Andrew is a Thor fan, and let's say that, Jake is a Captain America fan, we want our hero to have top billing and see more of them. So you really don't put them all together in a movie, because then most people won't enjoy it as much. But they put all of them together, took a couple of other heroes, threw them in to the Avengers, and it made $1.5 billion dollars with a B. And in the movie, instead of profiling one hero as the highlight, they profiled all the flaws of the heroes, all the issues that each hero had in working with the other, but then they profiled the heroes putting their issues aside and working together for the common good. Can anyone see where I'm going with this? Okay. All right. Now, here's the thing. Just give me one more minute. Here's the thing. Marvel said this should work with anything. Because if this is true, that people really like bringing the heroes together, then we should be able to take some no-name heroes, bring them all together, and do just as good. So how many of you guys have heard of the movie Guardians of the Galaxy? Okay. How many went to see it? Okay, hands down for a minute. How many heard of it before the movie came out? Okay, Joe and me. And it wasn't even the original Guardians of the Galaxies. They took all these, I don't know if you can see this picture clearly, it made $618 million, and that's only since August. It's still in theaters. It's not done yet, and no one had ever heard of these heroes prior to the movie coming out. And the original comic, Guardians of the Galaxies, the original ones are not even these guys. And the one that's this, until the movie came out, it wasn't even being published anymore because nobody was buying it. But Marvel said, hey, if people really want to take separate heroes and watch them put their issues aside and then watch them come together against the common good, the theory is it should work with these guys, even though no one's really heard of them. And it did, because this $618 million, actually more than that, and it's still in theaters. It's got at least another 4 to 6 weeks in theaters. So by the time it's done, close to seven, if not a billion, at least close to $700,000 or $800,000 from a group that no one really ever heard of until they said we're going to make a movie about it. All right. The reality is, and if you don't see where I'm going with this, Marvel said, hey, you know what? We'll take all these individual superheroes who can't really save the world on their own, and we will bring them together, and then as they come together and put their issues aside, they can save the world. Now do you see where I'm going with this? Because we're talking about unity in the church. And no matter what denomination you're talking about or what church you're talking about, one denomination or one congregation cannot save the world. But if all of the Christ followers put their differences aside and break down the walls that separate us and come together, if you take the Spirit-filled, Bible-believing, and Bible-reading, because if you're not reading your word, then you don't know what you're doing. If you take all of those Christ followers and put them together, we can change the world for the better. We can make a difference in the entire world globally, not just in one community, not just in one plan of houses, but all over the world. All right? So this morning, in response to your surveys, we're going to read some comic books. I'm going to ask the ushers to come forward. Can you guys come up? And I'm going to hand out some comic books. I am just kidding. I'm so kidding. I am just so kidding. The look, if there was a camera up here, the look on some of your faces was like eyes were rolling up, like, are you kidding me?